FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. You might even be watching us. And as you know, we are always at the forefront introducing you to companies that have amazing potential, but that have not yet been discovered by the market at large. And we've got one of those opportunities right here. The name of the company is Mistango River Resources, located in Canada. And you find information on them at Mistango, Mistango.com. With us now is Stewart. Stephen, you're chairman of Mistango, and we welcome you as a sponsor. This is an interesting company that you've recently gained control of. We won't go into the how you got there, but one thing that is interesting to me is, what was it about Mistango, the attraction? What led you to it?
Hey, first of all, Kerry, thank you very much for having me. To answer your question, what attracted our group to Mistango was one word, very simple. It's value, and the price that we saw relative to the value that was available. And so when we did go after, and you alluded to, we did do a hostile proxy battle with the former management, and we were successful in overcoming that. And at the end of 2019, and they are completely gone. But what we did see is we saw a stock that was 1 penny, okay, literally 1 penny, no bid, no ask, nothing. It was dead as a doornail. However, we looked at their assets and we saw 2 really high quality assets. One was their Omega, which was about 600,000 ounces, right next to other properties that we control in world-class jurisdictions like Kirkland Lake. And then they had another asset, which is called the Kirkland West. And believe it or not, the Kirkland West project was and is located directly beside, so contiguous to, the world's highest grade gold mine, which is owned and operated by Kirkland Lake Gold. It's called the Macassa Mine. The main break runs right through, obviously, the Kirkland Lake property onto our property. As I was telling you before, the Kirkland Lake mine itself is just one of 7 mines that have extracted over a period of 80 years from this singular ore body, okay, which has produced 25 million ounces of gold. It's an absolute monster. And these mines started 70 years ago, and they came from east to west successively. And this land package that Mistango now owns 100% is the 8th in effect. So we are the next one west. We know for certain that the structure that carries the gold mineralization runs right onto our property. And so that's what attracted us to us. When we saw that, those 2 properties in that jurisdiction with that potential for 1 penny, which was effectively $1 million for the whole company, we couldn't resist ourselves. We couldn't resist. We knew there was a problem, and that's what we do. We fix problems.
And that I love. Some of my best investments in the stock market and in life, in businesses, have been in companies that had serious issues. And like you, I saw value and made investments that paid off incredibly. So, but there are some problems that you just want to avoid, but there are other problems that really attract you. How do you determine what challenges are surmountable and what are not?
Well, first of all, we have to assess the payoff potential. Okay, so the risk versus the reward. And you're right. To do a proxy battle, a hostile one, is full of risks, okay? The odds were stacked against us right from the get-go, from the regulatory bodies to everything, just to sort of keep it simple. It was high risk. People were saying, what are you doing? Don't do this. It's crazy. And so we knew the odds were stacked against us. However, we knew we had a shot. We knew what we were doing was right. It was rational. And we knew that if we were successful, which we were, the payoffs would be huge. So to illustrate that, as I said, It was a 1 penny stock. The stock ran to 35 cents. So we had a 35 times. It's pulled back to the mid 20s, et cetera. But that's just after sort of the euphoria has come. Now we've got to go to the drill bit, which we will. We have $7 million to do. But where else can you achieve 20, 35 times return? And so we saw that potential. We see even more potential if we're successful with our drill programs. But it's all about assessing the risk reward profile. The juniors, okay, the world that I live in is just absolutely rife with these sorts of inefficiencies, meaning, price versus value. There's a huge disconnect. In fact, there's probably no better place to find them if you know where to look. Doesn't mean you can always take advantage of them. However, in this rare opportunity, we identified Mistango as being totally undervalued. I mean, as I said, price is easy, but the value is the difficult part. And we saw a clear path despite its risks. We took it, and hey, we won, and we've benefited tremendously across our whole portfolio of companies. It brought an awful lot of attention and credibility to our group. Mistango shareholders who were long suffering prior to our involvement were absolutely thrilled. I mean, they had wrote it off, right? Not only was it it wasn't even 1 penny. It was worth nothing because you couldn't unload it because there were no buyers. So, these people came in, made 30 times their money off of what they thought was zero. And, I was a hero for 15 minutes, which has passed. And now it's, what have you done for me lately? And what have we done lately? Well, we've raised $7 million, and we're going to put it into the ground, and we're going to try and define, as I said, that 8th mine in Kirkland Lake. We've got a shot. I mean, the odds are probably stacked against us. That's what risk reward is all about. Finding these ore bodies is tricky. However, we've got a great team. We've got an asset that we see, we can see these fault systems that run. I mean, we see them very clearly. Now, the question is, can we intersect it? And I think we've got a shot. We're going to be drilling in a matter of weeks on this property. So, and I don't think we're going to stop for quite some time.
And I should also mention, you'll find this stock on the CSE. The symbol is MIS. And so you've got an extensive land package, 4,000 hectares. And look, it appears to fit all of those things we were talking about. Value in what was a very underappreciated, to say the least, almost given up for dead asset. And now you've breathed life back into it. So really, this is like a phoenix, if you will, rising from the dead project that seems to have a lot of upside potential.
Well, you're right. It is, now we have a real shot. We've put together this land package, which we've since expanded significantly since we took over management. So that's an important point, which speaks to our team. We've got a great technical team, great, legal finance leadership here. But yeah, now we've put together this, what was a fragmented land package. We filled out the holes. We've done the work, the geophysics, the boots on the ground. And now it's all about the drill bit. And as I mentioned, we just finished a series of financings. We've had 3 financings since this. Eric Sprott, of course, the world famous billionaire mining investors, who made, a tremendous amount of money at our neighbor, Kirkland Lake Gold. He was the chairman there for 5 years. He came into this company twice. 2 out of the 3 financings we did. When I showed Eric the map of the property and where the structures run through it, he got it instantly. He understands, of course, the risk reward, but he, just like we evaluated the opportunity with Mistango about a year ago when we were evaluating taking it over, same sort of situation is here with the drill bit. But the payoffs could be, substantially more than even the payoffs we've received so far. If we can successfully prove that Kirkland Lake ore body continues onto our property, then oh boy, it's going to be a good day for Mistango shareholders.
Oh, that it will, for sure. So as far as your background goes, and I should mention that you've got a closely held company called the Ore Group, private company, has 4 publicly traded companies in its collection, a 5th on the way. The companies, I guess, are in the process right now of obtaining OTC QB listings. As far as how you got into this, I understand your father was an attorney, had extensive experience in the sector.
That's correct. My father was a practicing attorney for 40 years. He's still involved. He's on the board of most of the companies that I'm affiliated with. He's a trusted, close ally, certainly liaising with all the legal and exchange compliance issues. But that is what gave me exposure to the industry. Certainly was working by his side for in my earlier years, but also just being, I guess, a product of Toronto. And Toronto really is, although I think we're losing it, but it historically has been the mining finance capital of the world. And so there is this talent pool of professionals, geologists, engineers and it all based off the Toronto and the Canadian Stock Exchange here. So I guess I was a product of my environment. And so that's what I guess got me hooked. As far as my background goes from an education standpoint, I've got my MBA and I've got a master's of finance where I focus really on real estate. And I in a former life, I worked for a buy-side institutional fund buying, big monster real estate projects, building infrastructure, which gave me an appreciation of high finance and how to value opportunities, value money, and value risk. And so I've taken what I learned there at those big funds and applied it to what an industry like the juniors, where high finance just simply does not apply. It's more back of the envelope in terms of financings, but I use those principles, which really are fundamental in value investing and assessing the potential rewards relative to the high risk that we do take.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. Well, one thing I found interesting that you said, Stephen, is that the junior mining sector is not rational, meaning that there's all sorts of mispriced and misunderstood opportunities there. It's been that way, going back since 2011, since it had its last minor run-up in 2016, but it didn't last. But the fact that the sector isn't properly priced and the market doesn't understand these companies, that's where the opportunity comes in.
Well, you're right. And that's true to the up and the downside, of course, right? You can have overly promotional situations that are promoted, via the internet or other sort of methodologies. And then on the other side, you can have really solid people who just don't have the ability to communicate their message, or they're choosing to do things a different way. So both things add to a mispricing of the opportunity. And so that's the secret, is being able to identify those up and downside situations. And it's not easy. It's not easy. There's a lot of tricks of the trade, and you really have to live and breathe this stuff and know the players, know the assets, know all the tricks. And I think if you can do that, I think your odds increase. Certainly everybody's still susceptible to losing money in this industry, because at the end of the day, when you strip out the premiums or the discounts associated with companies vis-a-vis whether they promote or whether they're good speakers or not, at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the drill results and whether you find an economic ore body or not, or whether you can delineate that. So that's how I see it. And as and I wear many hats in this industry, in the sense that I'm very cognizant of my shareholders. I've got shareholders of all different shapes and sizes and wants and asks. Some of them are in and out in a day. Others are, like me, long-term holders. And so I have to promote my industry, just like McDonald's has commercials to sell their hamburgers. I'm telling everybody about my business, but where we're going to make our money, and where I'm either going to be, a hero or a zero, is going to be based on our drill results. And we're going to deliver those because we have the money in our treasury, which is the most important thing.
Of course. And as is often said in the industry, you live by the drill and you die by the drill. So tell us the drilling program that you have underway. What can we look forward to?
Well, we're not underway just yet. We're on the ground. We're setting up pads, etc. We've got the program designed. We're going to be going out. We probably think we can fit in 10,000 meters between now and the end of the year, which is a fairly substantial. But we're going to be doing a lot more drilling than that. So we're going to start there and then come back out in Q1, Q2 of 2021 and pick off where we left off. But with the knowledge of what we've learned, hopefully we hit it on the first hole. But that's not likely. But it's certainly certainly a possibility. We expect, call it the first week of November to be actually having the drills spinning. We should have results out hopefully by the end of this of December. But there's a lot of variables involved with that vis-a-vis the competency of the rock, the availability of assays, and then of course you got the holiday season. And then, I think COVID slows things down a little bit, not on site per se, but maybe and transport and that sort of stuff. But results are coming very soon. And we're going to have a lot of meters to put in the ground, which to me, I made this, I had this, I don't want to say epiphany, but, we spent the last 5 or 6 years putting together a portfolio of assets and companies, in the OR group. Okay. And we've got a lot of different assets and a lot of different companies, and they've all been acquired in a down market and often in distressed situations. So we were literally picking things up at what we view as pennies on the dollar of what their future value could and should be. And so we've done a good job at that. And as the gold markets picked up, you see a lot of these, call it what I call accretive opportunities, becoming fewer and fewer because people don't want to sell, or there's less distressed situations because high share prices can mask over these sorts of things. So we said, okay, well, what next? Even though we knew, but it's all about the discovery. And so our group has been raising the money outside of Mistango. It's all about cashing up and now delivering results. That's where our mind's at.
And that's how you create value, of course. And I guess the question also, because it's such a well-developed area, the Kirkland area, infrastructure is pretty good there, isn't it?
Yeah, the Trans-Canada Highway runs right through the property. There's a labor force there. There's drillers that are in town in Kirkland Lake. We don't have to set up camps. Permitting wise, these are patented claims, which means we do not need to have permits, for drilling and early stage exploration like drills. We can go and do it as we please. So this is aside from understanding where, which direction we actually want to point the drills, this is a ready baked project.
And that's great. And yeah, because there's so many projects that look really great. And then when you look at the infrastructure, you see that your costs are really good, high per ounce. And it's always good when you don't have that issue.
Well, certainly when you're talking about, there's two things to think about with infrastructure and location of projects. One is what you talk about is the extraction. I mean, if we are in the middle of the Arctic or high up in the Andes, to build a mine up there is probably 3, 4, 5 times the costs of what you do it if you were on the railroad, et cetera. And then there's the exploration costs, which are the costs faced by the juniors such as Mistango. We can drill for, back of the envelope, $100 a meter. If I had to do helicopters or there was some sort of challenges, it could go up to $400 or $500, even some places $1,000 a meter. So I think investors need to pay very close attention, especially early in the game. Look for where these companies are exploring. So if I had to spend 10 times as much per meter, well, that means I have to find 10 times as much gold to justify it. If you think about it, that's a truism. So the fact that we can drive to our projects and drill for this as low cost as anywhere else in the world is it means more meters in the ground. More meters in the ground means a greater chance of success in the discovery. Simple as that.
Yeah, and again, it all comes down to drilling, and the more of it you can do, the better your likely results are going to be.
You got it.
So looking forward here, all right, you're well capitalized to do this. When do you think you'll have to come back to the market?
I don't have any plans to. So we just closed on a $3.1 million financing to bolster our already $4 million treasury. We got lots of cash. So I have no plans to go to the market anytime soon. Not even thinking about it. In fact, I'm enjoying not raising money. I'm enjoying now, transitioning away to how do we deploy this capital intelligently? That's where our mind's at.
Yeah, you're almost on a holiday here. You actually get to concentrate on the business of mining, which, like you mentioned, so much of your time previously has been invested in raising capital. That's out of the way. So now you get to the business.
Absolutely. Now, it's a different sort of pressure. Raising money, I do spend a lot of time and attention raising money. Fortunately, I have a very good technical team. You don't want me pointing the drills anyways. However, I do oversee everything. And now that we have the cash, that's one less thing to worry about. And it's really all about focusing about our work on the ground.
And you mentioned your team. Can you just briefly tell us who's working on this?
Sure. The key technical guys that people should be aware of course, our Vice President of Exploration for Mistango is Dr. Keith Ben. He's a PhD, but not necessarily an academic. I'm always cautious about PhDs and the academics versus the business side. Keith is very pragmatic. He's been in the business for a long time. He most recently was with Goldcorp as their Director of Structural Geology, and I'll just point out that a structural geologist is the exact type of geologist that you want in there. He's quite brilliant. We're very lucky to have him. In fact, I wouldn't have been able to attract somebody like Keith if we didn't have, an asset next door to the highest grade gold mine in the world with a treasury like we do. So he's in it like me to discover an ore body. And I'll also mention Charles Beaudry. Charles is also a top-notch geologist, has been with me in one capacity or another. We've worked together for 10 years, highly intelligent, sophisticated guy. So we've got two of the best geologists in the Abitibi, which is the jurisdiction we operate in, on the job, focused on finding that ore body for us.
All right. Well, it looks like all the pieces are in place. Now we find out what's really there, but it's so well situated next to Kirkland. All these mines, 80 years of history in the district. Sounds like you're on your way. I should just mention again the name of the company, Mistango River Resources, and you find them at mistango.com. And of course, the ticker symbol on the CSE is MIS. Stephen, I have a feeling we'll be talking to you again real soon. Good luck on this and see what comes next.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being on your show. And we'll, as you say, we'll talk again soon. When the drill results come out, I'll look forward to it.
Absolutely.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.